Hello, hello, hello. We move on to the 25th of April, 1994. I can hold this one up. It's Parklife by Blur. For we are doing Blur. Do you remember? I'll show you. I'll show you the record later on. Let's talk about it first. Let's talk about it. I want to open from a quote. This is a really good quote. This was he was talking to. This is Damon Albarn talking to a group of music journalists in 1990. Yeah, in 1990. He said, "When our third album comes out, our place as the quintessential English band of the 90s will be assured. That is a simple statement of fact. I intend to write it in 1994." That was incredibly prescient. He should have put money on it. He should have put money on it. And so, after Modern Life is Rubbish, the band doubled down for their third album, the now legendary Parklife. It is a classic album. I deign it a classic album. The album cover is of greyhounds. I think it's just a stock image. I think. Illustrating a British way of life, greyhound racing. It's kind of died out a bit now because things go out of fashion. Inside the band are pictured at Walthamstow Stadium dog track, which is my neck of the woods, which always cheered me up. It's not open anymore. Again, it all went out of fashion. That's why there's so many greyhounds at Battersea Dog Zone. So yeah, it opens with the stomping girls and boys. Oh my God! I always say "Girls and Boys" is the song of the 90s. It's the one song that defines the 1990s. The band go disco. They come out of the gate like the dog at the dog track. They're out of the gate. Oh, what can I say? What can I say about this song? It is brilliant. It comes from Albarn himself. Travelling, he's on holiday. I think he was in a van and he turned a corner and he witnessed to a scene of debauchery, the likes of which he'd never witnessed before. And this was again, you've got to think back to the 18 to 30 holiday. This is a peculiar British thing. I guess it's kind of gone off the boil now, but back in I guess it would have been the 80s and 90s. The 18 to 30 holiday was a package deal where young people would go off and indulge in a week or a fortnight's worth of drink and excess, sex and sand and everything else in between. And this is that song about following the herd down to Greece. Loving the 90s is paranoid. For it's about girls who are boys, who like girls to be like boys to be girls, who do boys like their girls, who do girls like their boys. If that isn't as prescient now, it's just amazing stuff. But it always should be someone you really love. Indeed, it should be. It's a story. It's a comment on society, put to a beat you can dance to. Like battery thinkers, not battery chickens, battery thinkers. Count your thoughts on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingers. Nothing is wasted, only reproduced. You get nasty blisters, doobly says shown, but we haven't been introduced. I just think it's another great song, and it says so much about the time. And if you're not from the UK, you wouldn't necessarily know what the hell it's about, what is going on. But it illustrates a time and a place where we are. Again, not long after this, you had TV shows like Ibiza Uncovered, which, with the ability of the handheld video camera, took you to these places and saw what the working class young folk of these isles were up to. Work hard and then they played hard on holiday. Tracy Jack's, another great song, is about, it's a midlife crisis put to music. Not like Faith No More's Midlife Crisis. This is about, again, there's a titular character who just goes off the deep end. And as somebody who's gone past 40, I'm now in the 50s, this happens. This happens. He knew in his heart it was over. Because you get to a point in your life where you think, that's it, I've done it. It's not going to get any better than this. And you wonder what else there is to do. And he doesn't want to conform. He doesn't want the suburban life. He has a mental breakdown and bulldozes his own house. Again, now this probably be banned because it'd be seen as mocking mental health, but it isn't. It's a comment on how you end up feeling. And again, all these people that that go on about words of violence and whatnot, once they get to 40 and 50, there's going to be a 360-degree turn in, or a 180-degree even. Or they might even just spin. They might spin like a top. End of a Century kind of picks up from the theme we had in Girls and Boys about, should always be someone you always loved. The idea of monogamy being a way of surviving. End of a Century, again, I think it's one of the first bands to realise that we are coming towards the millennial end and the paranoia that often comes with it. But this is a little vignette. It's about a couple who have been together a while, who kiss with dry lips, who dress in similar clothes because they feel the same, and it's about getting to the end. There's a song called "To the End" on this album. It's a reuse. Many themes on this album are reused. The idea of sticking together, holding on through, keeping your chin up. That's the record, and that's again, it's very British in the outlook. Again, if somebody who's been with someone for, God knows, 35 years now? I don't know, 34 years. I don't know. I understand the song. I understand the song, but we don't dress the same. We don't kiss with dry. We still have passion, but it's that thing of life's hard enough when you're on your own. Being with someone else can really be helpful. Then we come to Parklife, which again is it's a bit of Mockney music hall. Phil Daniels, the great actor from likes of Quadrophenia, and he was in EastEnders, wasn't he? As well as many other things in between. Speaks the lyrics in true Ray Davies style. And again, it's just painting a picture of, unemployed life. I think it's watching the life go by. You sit on the park bench. That's why it's called Parklife. You sit on the park bench and you watch the park life go by. And as somebody who loves to do this, again, if I'm ever travelling or go anywhere, I do like to find a park and sit and watch it, because you get to see an indicator of what's happening, and we get it here. We get, again, it's all barn, just seeing what makes us tick as people. Very clever song. Social commentary as entertainment, indeed. And a great video as well. Then we have Bank Holiday, very short song. Again, it's a bit like Sunday Sunday. It illustrates a phenomena that we only get in the UK, where every so often we have a bank holiday. Yeah, the banks used to have a holiday. They didn't do any banking, and it still goes on now. And we have them, and they're strange things. Think of it as like an extended weekend. And again, it's a very short punk song that illustrates some of the things that people get up to, like barbecues and drinking. We come across as very simple folk, but it's back to work again, because we grab the working. Again, it's about the working classes. The working classes grab their joy when they can, and the bank holiday is a bit like the package deal down to Greece. These people, they live fast and they enjoy the time that they've got. Okay, it might not be high art. It may not be, punting on the cam or whatnot, or going to an art gallery. It's how the working classes enjoy themselves. Is it mocking? No, it's a celebration. I think it's a celebration of the working classes. And this album comes before we had the great turn against. I mean, again, the working classes kind of going in and out of fashion. And after this, we had the whole chav thing that happened in the mid to late 90s, I think it was. And there was a little bit of a pushback against the working class. But this is I think it's more of a celebration of it, because again, we've all been guilty on bank holidays of heading to the pub and getting obliterated by our boozing bad head. It's just about carrying on. It's about the stoicism of being a Brit. Sometimes you just got to grin and bear it, no matter how hard life is or how pointless it all seems. This person, again, it's about unemployment. Get up around 2 from a lack of anything to do. Again, I wrote a song before this called "Nothing to Do," which is about this. About I get up at 2, around 2 in the afternoon, not in the morning, in the afternoon. So again, I preceded this song. Not that I'm making, but it's, again, I was unemployed at the time, and that's the kind of behaviour you kind of yourself fall into. Again, as somebody with insomnia, I'd find myself, staying up late watching mindless TV, watching Blur appear on late night music shows, and not being able to sleep, and then waking up at 2 o'clock, and then, and then dragging my ass to the dole office, So yeah, that was a hard time. So, but hey, might as well just grin and bear it, because it's not worth the trouble of an argument. And again, that's me. I'd rather just find a compromise rather than argue. Arguing's just a waste of time. Arguing's for fools. Far out. I would jump the Debt Collectors. It's just another one of those little instrumental pieces that they do. It's quite a good one, actually, but it's an interlude. This is an album of two halves. There are 2 acts. That was the end of the first act, and then we have the second act, beginning with Far Out. And Alex James sings this one. I think he wrote the lyrics as well, I think. And it's all about the stars in the sky, the constellations and that. And it's a nice it's almost like a nursery rhyme. And I like the naivety of it. And again, that's what I like about Blur, is every so often they have some childlike joy that cuts through the cynicism. To the end, we go, again, the video to this is black and white. It's done like a French movie. And the words are echoed. You have Damon singing, and then Letitia Sadler singing in French. And again, it's about monogamy. It's about just getting through, and and realising that there's an end to everything. There's a dark aspect to it, but it's that, you and I collapsed in love, and it looks like we might have made it. It looks like we might have made it to the end. The end of what? End of passion, or the end of the relationship, or just the end. For better, for worse. It's it's about relationships. London loves. London destroys people. Indeed, they say that the novel London Fields was a great inspiration for this. Again, because it is a concept album. It's a concept album about London. It's a concept album about all the classes, because you have working class and middle class. So Bank Holiday is working class, end of a century, middle class suburbia. London Loves is about the experience of being, it's intoxicating. It's a drug. You when you're young, you love London. It's all happening, and then you find it leeching away at you. You find it breaking you down until no more. And that's London Loves. Trouble in the Message Centre is probably the only song on the album I really don't care for. I could skip it if I wanted to. But yeah, it's the only one. But then we have Clover Over Dover, complete with I guess I don't know if it was real harpsichord. Kind of riffing on the lyrics, Roll Me Over in the Clover, or it's just called Roll Me Over, I think. It's an old song. Oh, this is number one, and the fun has just begun. Roll me over, lay me down, and do it again. Indeed. It's about, yeah, how's your father? It's a classic. It's a classic song, but it takes that idea of rolling in the clover, but it also brings the idea of suicide, and looking over the White Cliffs of Dover again. Very British. The White Cliffs of Dover. It nails you to a geography, to a point, to a place on the map, to who we are, and Dover is a very famous suicide point. People throw themselves off. But there's also that idea, and I don't know if you've had this, I get it. If I'm on a high height and I'm looking over, I always have that urge to kind of throw myself off. It's a weird discombobulating feeling of leaning over. And whenever I hear this song, I think about that, looking over the precipice and wondering, what if? And that's that character. And it's about love, and it's about self-destruction, and it's, if that's the fact, then in actual fact it's not where it's at, and it's over. Ooh, it's deep stuff, and it's about, suicide. But you wouldn't necessarily believe it. It also romanticises suicide, but it doesn't. It kind of does and it doesn't. It's a very contradictory song. But I find it really, really good. Magic America is them having a American culture. With, go and live in Magic America with all the magic people, where all your problems will be solved. Again, they are, is it cynical? I don't think so. I think, British culture, we used to be very, very negative of American culture. It was always seen as superficial, but now we don't have that criticism. I think it's because we've been completely absorbed by the Netflix and streaming of American TV and whatnot. The Americans won. They overthrew us with their multitude of highly made movies and TV shows that we can stream for $5.99 a month or whatnot. So they finally won by stealth. And the way we shop, with the idea of the shopping mall and the fast food takeaway, every aspect of our life now has been shaped by American culture, and it's a great shame. It's a great shame. Fish and chips, that's what we need. More fish and chips. But I like Magic. I like it. It's a good song, and we should be critical of America because of all the cultures, it's probably the most dangerous. Jubilee. There's probably people in the comments who are going to hate me for saying that, but it is, because it's a very young country with no idea of really where it's going, and it doesn't have a history, and its history is based on colonialism and slavery and murder and blood. A lot of countries are, but for them it's really, really, really close to when it was formed. Whereas many old countries, we've got centuries of history behind us, and castles and kings and queens and whatnot, and various invasions. Whereas America hasn't. It's still very much very much a stroppy teenager when it comes as a country, and that's why its culture is dangerous, because it's juvenilia. It's juvenile. Jubilee is about, it was a bit about me at the time, but I wasn't 17. I was 20, 23. I was still at 94. Yeah, I had a period of unemployment after my degree, and I had a really hard time getting. Again, there must be something attached to my name. I always have a really hard time of getting jobs and job interviews. But yeah, that's me slouching on the settee. I've gone divvy, watching too much telly, watching 24 hours of rubbish. Indeed, that was me. But I didn't have the butane and the plastic bags. He's sniffing butane, making his brain go soft. But yeah, it's about pissing your life away, being too shy to grab the world by the balls, and not getting out there. And again, when you're 17, you should be up and at 'em. I was never like that. I was out doing stuff, but I was limited by money more than anything else. But I'd still go for a walk and do things. Go window shopping, as I used to do. Who remembers window shopping? But this guy has descended into himself. It's quite good. It's a little observation. Again, he does these observational pieces. You have Tracy Jacks at one end, and you have Jubilee at the other end. And again, it's an examination of maleness as well. Very, very, very good, very good. And the album ends with "This Is a Low," probably one of the great songs. Again, another great song is about depression, but it's also about the country, because it's structured as via the shipping forecast. Again, for those of you outside of the country, is it Radio 4? They have this thing called the shipping forecast, which is like, it gives you an idea of what the weather's like. We're obsessed with the weather in the UK because we're an island, and the weather can be very unpredictable. Sometimes we can have sunshine and showers and snow and hail all on the same day, sometimes in the same afternoon. So we're very into the weather, and so Albarn takes this idea of the shipping forecast and takes us on a trip around the UK. But it's also about depression. This is a low, but it won't hurt you. When you're alone, it will be there with you, finding ways to stay solo. Or, as I like to say, so low, L-O-W. I think it's a double meaning, because depression likes isolation. Depression likes to push people away. And you might, I like to imagine the protagonist might have the radio on and might be listening to the shipping forecast, and it's chiming into what's going on. But we also see, again, another painting of the UK, with things just kind of crumbling. Things aren't quite right. Again, it's that disconnection, that feeling of alienation, of things not being quite right, but not to be worried, because it's only depression. It'll pass, like the weather. It will pass. And the Queen, she's gone round the bend, jumped off Land's End, and that ties us back to the Rolling in Clover, White Cliffs of Dover, Land's End. We've got John O'Groats to Land's End to Dover. I don't think people tend to jump off Land's End, though. It's suicide. It tends to be Dover is the point. Land's End is more a tourist spot. I've been to Land's End. It's in Cornwall. And then we end with another instrumental called Lot 105, and the album is over. And like I say, it's a classic album. It's 52 minutes 39. Probably could have got dropped. Trouble at the Message Centre. I don't like that one. I really just. There's one track. It's not bad. Out of 16 tracks, there's one track I'm just not a big fan of. But other than that, I think it paints a very interesting picture of the UK, of the various classes that there are, social classes, of love, of death, of depression, and everything in between. It's very painterly in its descriptions. He paints a very interesting picture of us as a culture and of us as a people, and as very male. It's a very male album as well. But let's look at the vinyl, because I got this. I can't remember when I got this. I got this a while back. I think it might have been an anniversary edition or something. But you can see them. Waltham So Dogs track, putting some money on the dogs. Off to see a man about a dog. Waiting for my dog to come in. There's many. What's it's in there? We have the lyrics, and I think Graham Coxon also puts the chord structures so you can play along at home, which is nice. Don't often see that. It comes in a nice red sleeve, and are you ready for this? It's piss yellow, or zit yellow even, isn't it? So yeah, I don't know if this was an anniversary one. I bought it because I like it, because it's one of my favourite records of the time. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, I think it's an amazingly strong record, and I played it to my daughter Verity. Oh God, it was a while back now. Maybe was it last summer, end of last summer, and she thought it was. I was explaining the songs to her like I did with you, and she just thought it was very interesting record. Anyway, that's that. I've burbled on far too long. God, I have burbled on far too long. Anyway, sorry about that. I've been talking about Parklife, the third album by Blur, originally released 25th of April 1994. And then we come back for the difficult follow-up, The Great Escape. That'll be the next one in the sequence. Do join me for that. Thank you for watching. There's only one more thing left to say, and that is ta-da.